Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Edna White, and I am your host of Keeping It Real on Purpose. And I'm so glad you're here with us today. Today, I have the pleasure of being with a guest called with a guest. You hear me cold, but with Samantha Mazola. Is that right? Am I saying it
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's how you say it.
So if you know me and my audience knows me, I get tongue tied, and I always want to pronounce everybody's name correctly. And if I didn't do it correctly, I probably would have been on with you for 5 minutes. Okay, trying to get it right.
No worries. I do it all the time.
But welcome to the show. Let me tell you a little bit about Samantha. Okay, let me tell you a little bit. She's passionate, and she's a health and wellness transformation coach whose journey is a statement of power and love and inner strength. She has overcome the grips of alcoholism and the scars of childhood PTSD. Samantha has turned her personal challenges into a mission to help others transform their lives. Through her compassionate coaching, she empowers individuals to embrace healing, rediscover their worth, and achieve a holistic wellness. Samantha's story is one of triumph, resilience, and the incredible capacity of the human spirit to grow beyond adversity. Prepare to be inspired. Welcome to the show, Samantha.
Yeah, wow, thank you so much. That was such a beautiful introduction. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, no problem. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Samantha Mazola. I am out of Boston, Massachusetts. I currently work as a fitness and a nutrition coach, and I am the mother of a 15-year-old boy.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So tell me how you started in this field, because it is a field, it's industry. So tell me how you started
Yeah,
and what
definitely.
got you
So
there.
I actually originally started in the medical field.
Okay.
I worked in the medical field for about 10 years. I was a phlebotomist. And I enjoyed it a lot. I transitioned out of a hospital setting into a doctor's office setting, and I got
Okay.
to work one-on-one with a diabetic coach. And she was great. She was phenomenal.
Right.
But
Okay.
we were doing a lot of assessment and prescribing of medications and not enough talking about just like overall health and wellness. It was amazing to
Yeah.
me how many people would come in and talk about their daily activity and nothing even close to strenuous. I mean, like, just like they were barely getting any activity. Of course, kind of like their blood sugar was hard to like maintain, and it wasn't even being talked about. Not even how like walks can lower blood pressure.
Right.
And it was a little concerning to me, just as far as like my own health, my own wellness, like my own
Mhm.
family. That's not how I wanted to live, and I've always been kind of just like athletic at nature and
Okay.
um, tend to be a little bit more holistic. So I decided I was going to transform into the fitness industry.
Okay. So I know for myself, just what you're saying, I have been, eating to live now and
Yep.
actually advocating for myself a lot more because I just turned 60. And so I was
Congratulations.
doing it prior
You look
to
really
about
good.
7 years. Once I turned 55, then I was kind of advocating a lot more because what you saw is, you know, they were giving out medication like it was like chiclets,
Mhm.
or Skittles or something. And I didn't want that for myself. So experiencing that, how did you, because you knew a lot of information, now you have to transition it to this holistic side of your journey. How did you do that?
Yeah, so I had already been on a journey previous to that, just like given
Okay.
like all like the trauma and stuff that I had throughout like my adolescence. So I just found myself kind of just like on another journey of self-discovery. Where am I
Gotcha.
gonna go? Yeah, like what am I
Mhm.
gonna do? How am I gonna do this? And it all started with a Dr. De Silva book. I listened to a book by Dr. De Silva and it changed my life.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Wow.
he's
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful. He teaches meditations. He teaches you how to meditate. He teaches you how to activate your
Okay.
pineal gland. Um, and it helped me to transition and started me on a new path in my journey.
Wow. I know you said that you had experienced alcoholism and PTSD, right? Have those do you have any unresolved aspects of that trauma still? And if you do, does it impact you, moving forward?
Yeah, I do not, thankfully.
Okay.
Yeah, thankfully I do not. So I was able to move past that. But
Okay.
honestly, it was really God, and just like having a good positive outlook on things is what really got me
Hmm.
through.
Hmm.
But I did go to therapy, so I used some other tools. I made
Right.
sure like
Right.
I was part of like different like networking groups.
Hmm.
But it doesn't affect me anymore now. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of it had to do with education, just like educating on yourself on like
Oh,
what
yeah,
addiction
absolutely.
actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah, people wake up every day and drink or smoke or do whatever the case, just because it's something that they're used to doing without realizing
Right.
that they're actually addicted to it.
Right. Right. And I think it's important to know that what you said is tools are so very important. And I could tell you from the Black perspective, going to therapy it's a no. It's voodoo. No, we don't do that. And it's so important I have a therapist,
Yeah.
and I have experienced childhood trauma. However, sometimes for me, things come up. I've endured a lot of it, and things come up, and I love to resolve it. I'm a person that works on me constantly, and I'm always making sure I'm checking points and things like that within myself. Um, and I've seen that for me, keeping that 911 therapy button on, it helps, especially in this industry for me, because I've been doing it for over 20 years. Things may trigger me, things may bring things up, and I'm learning every day that it's just so good that have these tools, as you said, because it can help you resolve those things that were lingering around. You think you resolved, because I thought I did too. Yeah, well, that's me. I thought I did too. No. I
Yeah.
still have stuff going on right now, and I'm learning to kind of resolve it. So through those tools, you know,
Hmm.
through those tools that you talked about,
I
um,
liked
you
a
know,
lot of what you just said.
say it again.
I liked so many things that you just said. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was super, super important. So I feel like for me, as far as like triggers,
Yeah.
I'm not overly sensitive to them
Hmm.
anymore, because I know
Hmm.
what they are. But I understand what you mean when it's like you're so
Yeah.
busy, you kind of forget, like you're on your self-discovery. So it's like every now and then you'll get stopped in your tracks and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. But I
And I
think
think
that,
that's a great word. It's not that you're triggered anymore. You're so mindful and aware of it. It's not that you're triggered. It's because, okay, that right there, what's that?
exactly,
What's that?
exactly. Yep, yep,
That
yep.
don't, no, don't, that didn't act right there. What is that?
Hmm.
So you
I
have to
love
deal with
that.
it. Yeah.
Yep. And I like that too, like the aspect of just like dealing with it right then and there, like dealing with it like
Yes.
face on. I'm the same way. Like, let's just talk about it.
Yeah, and it's so important. That's the stuff that we need to talk about. It's okay to be, what's that?
Right.
And then deal with it right there. Even if you have to put a pause, no matter what, I know there's some situations you can't put on pause, but sometimes you can take, let me pause this right here and go check this right here. Because it might become something more. And you don't want to be angry and say something you don't, because it's usually just anger, a response. Let me just say that. It's usually a response that's out of order. And you want to check that, where's that coming from? Is it coming
Yeah.
from the place that you need to, you're communicating effectively, or where's it coming from? You know,
Right. Right. Yeah.
what are
And
some
it's
of the, you talk about tools. So what tools or strategies have you tried that help you overcome these challenges?
yeah, definitely. So it depends on the type of situation that I'm in. If I'm in a
Right.
situation where somebody is kind of being like overly aggressive, they seem to be kind of like assertive, my first thought is like, oh man, they have some stuff that they haven't worked on. And what is
Right.
it? There's something about me
Right.
that might be triggering them, or they're feeling some type of way. I wonder what it is. So it takes my
Right.
reaction, like there's a whole new approach to it now, because now I understand
Hmm.
how to react to the situation with maturity and understanding. Um, Something simple, things happen all the time. So like my schedule is like constantly chaotic. Like my business is based around other people's schedules and how they want to schedule. So
Right.
sometimes like that will get like really kind of like messy during the day. But I always bring it back to just, no matter what, there's another day. Like tomorrow's another day. Like I'll
Yeah,
get through it.
absolutely.
And like even doing just like breath work for a second too, I think is super important. People underestimate self-care. if I find myself in a situation that seems to be like really heated or just like, I don't know, it's just like seems to be too much, I'll take a step away and just sit by myself for a second and just breathe. And if that turns into like a quick meditation, awesome. If it's just a couple of breaths, then cool too. But something as simple as that is that self-love. Like that's
absolutely.
important. Self-care.
It's total self-love. It's total giving yourself the power back to be confident in who you are. It's totally all of that.
Yeah. And how I'm going to respond.
Exactly. And we don't think self-care is that. And what I've learned along the way, no is such a great self-care tool.
I'm working on that. Yeah.
Such a great tool. Let me tell you, that no with a period.
Yeah.
No with the period is the jam, okay?
Yeah.
That no with the comma, no, you're still giving in. But that no with the period, boom. It stuns people. Like, I remember one of my colleagues
it stuns people. It really does.
I remember one of my colleagues said to me, and he asked me something to do, and I said, no. He's like, I can't process the one sentence answers. I said, what do you mean? He says, I can't process it. You just said no with no explanation. I said, well, you're going to have to start. But it's no. No is a statement. It's a sentence. It's got a period at the end. You don't have to explain, and that's so much self-care. It's so liberating saying no. Remember when we were kids, we used to say no all the time?
Yeah.
Say no. And it was like, yeah.
I need to start doing that. That was really good advice.
We got character when we say no. And it's liberating because it gives us back that self-worth that we can make a decision. We don't have to say yes all the time. Even, and here's the other thing. When we say yes and we don't really want to do it, we devalue ourselves. Right?
Right.
Have you ever had that? Right?
Yep.
You'd be like, oh, because I know I would say, I don't really want to do this, but I gotta do it. I don't know why I want to do it. I gotta do it, but I gotta do it. And I'm talking all kind of junk in my brain.
Yep.
The whole time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And just carrying on, and then and mad, and if you got to take somebody somewhere you don't want to take them, it's gonna give you an extra run. Oh my God, you're like speeding. You're doing all the crazy things because you're supposed to have said no, and it just devalues you. It gets you in situations that you shouldn't be in. It's just so much more work.
Yeah.
It's easier to say no. Yep.
I'm doing that. I'm taking that advice. Straight like that too. Just
straight like that. I'm telling you. Straight like that. That's just because I started doing that. I was like, I would say no, but I have to. This is why. And
right, me too. That's how I am now.
They have it's like I give them. You know how you open the door for the salesman and then they put their foot in the door.
Yep.
And then I have to do it anyway because the no don't even mean anything anymore because they didn't talk me into it. So I stopped doing that. It's just no period. I wrote a book. Well, not a book. I created a workbook for people pleasers because I was one, right? When we come out of that PTSD, or those different trauma situations, we're pleasing people because we somewhere down the line we didn't get it, right?
Right.
We didn't get the love that we're supposed to have. Let's talk about what brought us there and how we can fast track that one aspect of healing, which is validation.
Right. Absolutely.
In your development.
Yeah. And self-love.
Yes.
And learning to love yourself first. So a lot of times though that happens and that trauma is created because you're not loved appropriately and you don't understand it, whether it be codependence or whether it be neglect. They're both evenly like destroyers. So
yeah, they are.
Ultimately, you never learn to value yourself. You never learn to truly love yourself. Right. And then a lot of times you end up taking the hot seat in situations because you don't love yourself enough to push forward. And that for me, I think is the saddest part. I think I talk to my clients about that a lot. We all have the rule of thumb is shoulders back, chest out, chin up. Yep. Regardless if you feel confident in that situation or not, you're going to walk in with confidence. Yeah. Nobody is going to be able to tell. Yeah, because it takes practice. It's something that you have to learn. And I have a lot of young clients that I think before the age of 26, is probably like you're still trying to build your character. You're still
Right.
trying to understand who you are. So like the
Right.
confidence isn't there just yet.
Right.
So I tell all of them, until it's there and until you build it, until you hit like that 30, 32-ish mark, this is how I want you to walk around, because I want you to get comfortable walking this way.
Yeah.
Because if not, it's going to be hard for you to take on the rest of the stages. Self-discovery and self-love is a hard thing to learn, I think. At least it was for my own
absolutely.
Story.
The proverbial, what do I want and who am I? Of course.
Yeah, exactly. And like,
I was in a room full of women that I asked that question to, and nobody had an answer.
Because we never take the time to think about ourselves.
Right. We don't know who we are and what we want outside of the roles, outside of being a mommy, outside of being a wife, or, a spouse or a teacher or all these other pieces. No, who are you without all that? We don't know. We
without
haven't
being
even
shown.
discovered it,
Exactly.
So
and it takes time too.
What does it say? Say it again.
It takes a lot of time too. I think sometimes people think that self-discovery happens overnight, but it doesn't. It's definitely a journey.
No, it's a whole, I don't even want to say it's a journey, because walking, I'm going to say I need a backpack.
Yeah.
I need a drink. Some good sneakers, because it's going to be a real truck. It's going to be, we're going for a long time, So it takes a lot of that, because you got to dig deep, you got to dig deep into that, because when you learn to love yourself, and we think about when we were 5, we fall on the bike, right? We get right back up, scarred up and everything, or we'll go in the house crying, and then come back out, get right back on that same bike without no hate, no malice, no nothing. I'm gonna do this, right? And we lose that along the way, because why? I am control of my life. That's what I knew when I was 5, right? I'm in control of my life. I know I got parents, but I'm in control of my life. Yeah, I'm gonna fall. Okay, good. But I'm gonna conquer this.
Right.
When you were getting dressed for school, your mother want to help button it. No, I got it. So we have to envision our life with those 2 pieces: loving ourselves, and that. What's the other one you said? Loving yourself and
validation.
So how do we integrate that into our healing daily?
Right. So I think it's a very hard thing to do, but one thing that I do teach is check-ins. So I do it with myself. I do it myself constantly throughout the day, is check in. Couple things. Have you eaten? Have you had enough to drink? And shoulders back, chest out, chin up. We're talking about the basics, the bare minimum that it takes to survive. Did you eat today? Have you had anything to drink? And are you walking around with your chin up? Because that's the only way to be able to kind of like check in and constantly like validate yourself. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Like at the very least, you're doing your best. And that's enough validation. That's all that you need. And then as far as like the self-love, a lot of times I do ask myself, like, did I love myself enough today? And because I started asking myself those questions, when I'm talking to myself, I'll check in with myself then too and say, wait a minute, time out. Because actually yesterday I caught myself saying like, oh, you did a good job. Like, you didn't fuck nothing up today. And I was like, oh, that was terrible. Like,
really
you shouldn't
good.
say stuff like, no, you did a good job today. Like, you did good.
That's one thing we don't do. We don't do that enough. Is congratulate ourselves.
Exactly. And it's like, and instead of congratulating myself on not making mistakes, it could have very much just been like, congratulate you did a great job today.
Yes, simple as that. Yeah,
right. And that's self-love.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much what I teach too, is like just the basics, like those simple things is self-love. Personal hygiene. Like, were you able to shower today? Did you have something to drink? Have you eaten?
That's good.
Really good. Are you tired? We're talking about the bare minimum that every human being deserves to have.
Yeah.
Like, can you cross these things off? Then you should be able to validate yourself in every situation, and you are showing yourself self-love, because it takes a lot to be able to take care of yourself.
Right.
And then when you find yourself in other situations where you're not being validated, or you feel like you're being gaslit, or you feel like there's something going on that you like, no. Like I deserve, like I treat myself well. I take good care of myself, and
Right.
I'm gonna validate myself here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Or
good.
like, or whatever the situation is. Yeah.
Now we talked about all this mindset, this mindset and this validation. Now we're going to jump to this fitness part. How do we
Mm-hmm.
integrate that into our daily routine?
Yeah. So with structure and routine. So structure and routine build discipline.
Okay.
I have a friend of mine who's actually a client too. Her goal is to get up at 5 a.m. So we didn't even get into her fitness goals. She hasn't been in the gym in probably like 2 years. She does long walks, which is awesome. She tries really well to eat, but her goal is to be she wants to be a 5:30 gym girl, is what she said. So before we even start with fitness, the first thing we talk about is being a 5:30 gym girl. Sometimes that means waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then going to the gym and then continuing on throughout your day. And that's difficult. So start slow and just remember that it's a journey. So for her, I had her setting her alarm at 4:30 every day for 7 days. She's not getting up for those 7 days. She's just listening to it. She's listening to it go off. She's opening her eyes. She's kind of getting used to like the feel of being up at that time. And then on the 8th day, which was like her Monday, I believe it was, this is the day you're going to get up on this day and you're going to go. And that's exactly what she did. And she's been holding true to it. But what people don't understand is it takes time to build those routines. Think about being a kid when you're going to school every day. You're being woken up at 6 o'clock every day, all through elementary and then into middle school and then high school. You're doing it on your own. But it took time to build that routine. So really just allowing yourself the time that it takes to build a routine. And then for the fitness, so that's the best part, I think, of like the whole journey is like it's being in the gym for me is kind of also like another form of therapy. Regardless if you run, if you lift, if you're doing calisthenics, if you're just doing mobility work, there's nothing better than being in the gym. And ladies, I would say start with a walk. If you're finding yourself in a place where you haven't had much physical activity or you're in like a super beginning stage, then just start with walking. So 40 minutes a day actually helps you to improve your memory. So after 40 minutes a day, like your brain function actually starts to improve and your memory will get better. There's a ton of benefits to lifting. But if we're talking about somebody that, I'm going to use my friend as an example. We're talking about somebody that hasn't really been super active and now we have the winter time, right? So you can't get as active. I would start with just a walk for about 40 minutes and I would work primarily on nutrition first.
Okay.
Because really, out of everything, you cannot work a bad diet. That's not possible. There's no way around it. If I would do it, if I could, it's just not in the cards for any of us. So I would work on the nutrition and then just doing body weight stuff at home, doing simple squats, push-ups, working on just like really like simple stuff. And then incorporating, of course, a routine into your schedule. I would start with at least 2 to 3 days a week. If you can do 2 to 3 days a week and dedicate 1 hour to yourself, then you'll be very, very successful. Even if that just means walking until you start to like learn other exercises. Or if you were able to like contact like a trainer or find a video online, just walking is a good start. And really just building that routine. Building the routine, the consistency is going to create a discipline that you're going to keep for the rest of your life. And then the fitness part is where it gets fun. So like once you have that discipline, you have that routine, and it becomes part of your day, you enjoy working out.
Yeah. And you don't want to break it. You don't want to break it.
Exactly. And then once you start reaching your goals, though, is where you really get the passion. Once you start reaching your goals, you're like, oh, all right, like I'm definitely coming back. Like this, like I look good, I feel good, like it's part of my everyday, sleep better. So that's where, and I think that's where like the love comes in. Because then you start to feel good about yourself. It's just another thing that you can really pat yourself on the back about and say, you know what? 2 years ago, I set out on this journey. And 2 years later, I'm still here. And when I look at pictures of me 2 years ago, it doesn't even look like the same person.
Right.
And I did that. I did that by myself. I did that with consistency. I was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was eating healthy. When all my friends went out and got pizza, I was eating something with a cauliflower crust. Like, and in those moments, it's like, oh man, like, I don't know. Like, I would kind of like, I want to like cheat or I want to do this and that. But it's like, what are you really looking for?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when you can look back and say, like, I didn't do those things and look at where I'm at, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, yeah. So how did fitness fit into breaking those chains of alcoholism and PTSD for you?
Because I went to the gym. So it's the same thing that I preach to my son, and I preach it to a lot of people, actually.
Okay.
Lately, I've been talking to a lot of people that seem to be kind of down and out, or dealing with like seasonal depression, and they're having like issues at home.
Right.
Finances are just crazy. Everything is so expensive right now, so everybody's kind of like down. But
Right.
go to the gym. Get in the gym. Get in the gym and stay there. This is what I tell my son on a regular basis. If you're bored, then I want you to go get in the gym.
Oh, that's good.
If you're feeling down and you're lonely, I want you to go get in the gym. If you're feeling like, I don't know, like I just feel kind of like funny, I haven't been around a lot of people, go get in the gym. It's a safe place for people to be, to work on themselves. Even if you just go and use the sauna. I know a lot of people that will go to the gym and they'll use the massage beds, but you're getting used to being in the environment. You're around a lot of other people. You're getting some type of interaction, and you're outside. You're getting from your house to the gym.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's real good. That's real good. What would you tell the audience? What would you give to the audience in addition to what you just told us about breaking those chains of alcoholism, PTSD? What would you tell them? Because you've lived through it.
What would I tell them, like how I feel, or?
Yeah, another step, really important step that you really, you've adapted and you kept to.
Yeah, so I would say stick to the plan. So my other advice would be to always stick to the plan. If you can, if you're, that's it. Yeah. If you can stick to the plan, if you can always go back to the plan and stick to everything that you plan to conquer, you'll never revert back to that life. You'll never revert back to those things. I don't even think about it anymore because I'm busy. I'm busy. And if I'm not busy and I find myself just like kind of like playing with my thumbs, I go to the gym. But that doesn't mean I work out crazy either. It just means it's a safe place for me to be around people that are trying to accomplish the same thing I am.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, Samantha, I want to tell you, I had just had this conversation with myself Monday. This whole conversation, you are such a confirmation. I was like, because I was bored. Like, I was like, when you get everything in your business is kind of lined up and you're like, oh my gosh, I have nothing to do.
I can breathe.
I said to myself, now I would be so buff if I was in the gym as much as I am bored.
Yeah, that's so funny. It's true too.
And I promised myself, I'm going to the gym. I do exercise in my house, in my apartment, but I was like, I'm going to go to the gym. Don't be bored. Exercising all the time. Let's go upstairs. I love it. So you're confirming what I am thinking and what I talked to myself about on Monday, is to really get fit. I'm walking every day. It's cold now where I am. So I'm very limited. I'm cold.
Yeah, me too.
So I don't play around with that, but I will go out a little bit, but I definitely got to step it up because of the weather and get into the gym and utilize that. But thank you so much for doing that for me. That's amazing, and telling me these things. Keep to the plan, ladies and gentlemen. Keep to the plan. Breaking these chains of any type of trauma, any type of situation that you've gone through is, creating a plan, like Samantha said, creating the plan, getting set in the time frame and committing to yourself. Commit to yourself. Take that little time. If you're bored, you should be buff. Like I said to myself, I should be buff. I should be looking like when I go out there, I can wear a 2-piece because I'm working out and I'm getting, the best benefit. And it gives you confidence. I'm going to tell you that. Total confidence. So, keep to the plan, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Samantha, for being here with us. I really do appreciate you. And it's the end of our show, ladies and gentlemen. So how can we get in touch with you, Samantha? Tell them, hurry it up. Tell them.
Yeah, so
my
website is samanthasmworld.com, and then you can find me on Instagram, same thing, Samantha's mworld on Instagram and TikTok.
Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time around. Bye for now.
Bye. Thanks for having me.